Just look at this man and tell me, is he dangerous? This seemingly simple man can kill 5 people in just 16 seconds. Then you'll start wondering what the story really is. Who is he? And why does he keep himself hidden from everyone despite being so dangerous? That's what we'll see in today's movie story. So quickly hit like, and get ready to watch this explosive movie. At the beginning of the story, we meet the main character of this movie, Robert. He looks like a normal person, but he has a strange habit.
Extreme discipline in everything. E follows time like clockwork.
No matter how the world turns, his time never changes. He works in a shopping market and is a favorite among his colleagues. Robert has a special routine every night. He leaves home with a tea bag wrapped in tissue and goes to a nearby restaurant. There he reads a book and drinks tea every day. At the same place, he meets a girl named Elena.
Ses a night prostitute by profession.
They don't talk much. But today, Elena asked him, "How far have you gotten with your book?" Robert replied, "I'm almost at the end." Just then, Elena gets a call from her Russian boss. He tells her, "I've sent this customer. You should meet him." The customer was a very fat and disgusting man. Elena refuses, saying, "I couldn't go with this ugly man." But in this line, there's no option to say no. So she's forced to go with him. Robert continues to follow the entire affair. The next night, Robert returns to the restaurant and meets Elena. But today, her face was covered in bruises. Robert asks, "Who put you in this condition?" Elena replies, "These things are common in this line." Robert suggests, "Leave this line and get on the right path." Elena replies, "It's easy to get in, but very difficult to get out." Then, she leaves the restaurant and starts walking. On the way, Elena and Robert discuss their personal lives. Robert reveals that he had a wife, but she left him today. In the middle of their conversation, a car pulls up and throws Elena into the car, hitting her. The person who assaulted her was Slavi. Slavi sees Robert and hands him a card, saying, "This girl is very smart.
If you call me, I get you a better girl."
Then, he walks away. The man couldn't understand who he was talking to and what he had said before leaving.
The next night, Robert goes to the restaurant again.
But he doesn't see Elena. The restaurant owner tells him that someone brutally assaulted Elena and sent her to the hospital's ICU. Hearing this, Robert becomes deeply troubled because, in just a few days, he had developed a special love for her. So, he goes to the hospital in search of Elena. Arriving there, Robert sees that Elena is in very bad condition. She was beaten so badly that her entire face is disfigured. Robert sees one of Elena's friends there and goes to ask her how she is. Her friend, Mandy, fearfully asks, "Who are you?" Robert introduces himself as Elena's friend. Mandy, with some confidence, says that Slavi did it. Slavi attacks her to force her to go to a client. Just then, Elena hits him too. Slavi, like a madman, beats Elena and pours battery acid on her face, so that no one will dare to do such a thing again, seeing her condition. Hearing all this, Robert begins to prepare himself. He wonders if he will have to go back to his old life. Will he once again reveal who he really is? The scene then shifts to Slavi's hideout. There, Robert arrives at the address written on the card. Robert gives Slavi $9,800 and tells him to keep the money and set Elena free forever. Slavi laughs at this and says, "With this money, I can only pay you for 1 month. If you enroll in this line, come on over, because there's a good demand for black people like you." Robert listens to all this with a calm mind. He scans all the hitmen in the room in an instant. Who has which gun? Who is sitting where? He calculates every detail in his mind. Then, slowly closing the door, Robert says, "It will take me a maximum of 16 seconds to kill these idiots." He starts the stopwatch on his watch. It's then seen that, according to his dangerous idea, he throws all the bodies one by one in a moment. He takes a gun from someone and shoots Slavi. He slits the neck of another with his own knife and throws them into the fire. He gouges out one of the men's eyes with a glass from a crate, and stabs the last one directly in the snout with a champagne opener. It only takes him 28 seconds to kill all 5. Subtracting 9 seconds from that, the time to kill is only 19 seconds. No, it's 3 seconds longer, and let me tell you, the fight scene here was absolutely spectacular. The next day, he returns to work in a completely simple manner, and no one would guess that he sent 5 men to the air the previous night. Meanwhile, he returns home. Robert receives news that 5 men have been killed there. He realizes that this matter is about to spread far and wide. Meanwhile, a dangerous Russian agent named Terry arrives in town. Terry goes to the murder scene and sees that his men have been brutally killed. Seeing the style of killing, Terry understands that this is no ordinary man's work. In fact, the person who did this must be highly trained, someone with army or navy training. Terry then meets with some of the city's police officers. There, a police officer named Frank doesn't speak well with him. But Terry is different. He explains to him, "I'm not here just to beg you. I'm here to give you orders." Meanwhile, Robert notices that one of his favorite colleagues, Ralphie, hasn't shown up for work. He goes to his house and discovers that his mother's shop caught fire the previous night. That's why he didn't come to work today. Seeing the style of the fire, Robert realizes it wasn't an accident, but that someone deliberately set it. So he asks Ralphie what the real story is. Ralphie explains that some of the city's police officers take bribes from them. When they couldn't pay him last night, they resorted to this tactic. Hearing this, Robert understands what he must do. That same night, the 2 police officers come to Ralphie's shop again. While taking money on the way, Robert tells them to stop all this wrongdoing. Seeing him, they take him for granted and start joking with him. But Robert manages to overpower them in just 5 seconds, so much so that they return the money to everyone they borrowed, while still saying, "Papa, Papa." Meanwhile, Teddy goes to a contractor to investigate Slavy's murder. The contractor starts bullying Teddy, calling him a stupid Russian boy. But he doesn't know who Teddy is. After a while, Teddy gives him money, warns him, and then rips his face off.
Teddy now searches for Elena's friend.
He asks her if she knows Elena. Her friend lies, saying she doesn't know Elena, but looking at her eyes and face, Teddy understands she's lying. Teddy then calls the head of the entire market, Pushkin. When Pushkin asks Teddy for an update on the work, Teddy says, "I've never seen a murder like this in my life. This man is no ordinary man, and to my knowledge, no one in our entire network has such skill." Pushkin then says, "Find this killer quickly." Teddy says, "I'll catch him in a few days."
Teddy tengo esto Elena's friend.
He calmly inquires and learns that a wealthy man visited Elena that day. But he doesn't reveal his name. Having learned what he needed to know, he strangles the girl to death. Teddy shows his partner Robert's photo and tells him, "This is the killer who killed our man. So keep gathering as much information as you can about him." In the next scene, a thief arrives at the shopping market where Robert works and tries to steal money from the cash counter. Robert then quietly offers to give him the money. But when the thief tries to snatch a ring given to a girl by her mother, Robert's power mode activates. But suddenly, a child appears there. Seeing this, he controls his anger and takes the ring back from the girl's hand and gives it to her. But the thief doesn't know who he's messed with. Robert follows him, notes down his car number, and prepares a hammer to break his limbs. When the girl returns to the counter, she finds the ring on her desk, and Robert, on the other hand, wipes his hammer with a handkerchief and puts it back in its proper place. It's clear that Robert had given him a mild suppressant from his gear. In the next scene, Teddy arrives at Robert's house. There, he introduces himself as a detective and begins talking to Robert calmly. Looking into Robert's eyes, Teddy realizes that this is the man who killed everyone at once, and Robert also understands that he's not an agent or a police officer. So he asks a direct question.
How did you catch me?
"I didn't leave any footprints." Teddy then explains that it's our job to find people. Robert then says, "That's why I came to find out who this man is." Teddy then leaves without saying anything. As he gets into the car, he says that everything we knew about this man so far was wrong. He's no ordinary man. So he sends the entire team to search for him. After gathering all his information, he says that this man has no criminal records. He pays his taxes properly, has a good job, and lives a very simple life. Teddy says that everything has been planned so perfectly that this man must have been in the military, and if that weren't the case, it would be impossible to hide all his information so carefully. Meanwhile, Robert begins installing cameras in various locations throughout his house. He also places evidence to prevent anyone from entering the room from leaking any information. Robert is actually. He was a man whose past records were unknown anywhere in the world. Teddy then sends a man to Robert's restaurant, where he goes every day, because he needs proof with his own eyes whether this is the same dangerous killer. The hitman then introduces himself as a power lineman and orders something. But Robert easily understands and says, "If you were really a power line repairman, this job would have fallen to you. You're actually here for me, aren't you? The poor thing has been caught. As soon as he picks up the bullet, Robert turns on the stopwatch of his famous watch and scans it once. Just what was destined to happen happened. Within seconds, Robert hits the target with the book in his hand, killing the victim, and the poor thing falls down, drooling. Meanwhile, Teddy, along with his men, watched the whole thing unfold. But before they can witness the real scene, a car pulls up and interrupts them from witnessing this spectacular sight. Robert quietly kills Footy and cuts the hotel's power line. He then leaves the restaurant, takes some pictures of Teddy with his phone, and leaves. Teddy and his associates then chase Robert to his house. Robert, being discreet, escapes. However, he manages to sneak into another building and take a good look at everyone with his camera. The next morning, Robert visits an old friend at his house, and this is where we learn Robert's true identity. Robert was actually a secret agent. Secret agents' job was to erase all their identities and data from the world after their mission was over. Robert, after a similar mission, detonates a fake R-blast to erase his identity forever, declaring himself dead so that no data on him remains with the police or the mafia. He is assisted by two friends, who are the only ones who know that Robert is still alive. Robert shows Teddy's picture to his friend Sujin. The next day, Sujin gives him complete information about Teddy. Sujin explains that Teddy is a dangerous Russian soldier who is the right-hand man of mafia boss Pushkin. Pushkin, based in Russia, runs his gambling, liquor, and human trafficking business throughout America. His political power is so high that no one can even point a finger at him. Sujin tells him that he has fallen into a huge trap. He wants him to stay away from all this. After this, Robert bids farewell to Sujin. Suzanne's husband then asks, "Did we accomplish what we came to help?" Suzanne replies, "Robert didn't come here for help. He came to get permission to eliminate this gang." Permission granted. Now the task of eliminating the gang begins. Robert's first step was to try to pacify his country's pet dogs. To do this, he goes to police officer Frank. He puts him in a car and starts the car. He then installs the car's gas pipe inside the car, and Robert then closes all the windows of his car and begins giving him an intense gas therapy. Unable to endure the gas therapy, Frank agrees to everything Robert says, and they go to submit a bid to an illegal factory owned by this Russian group. Robert's mind is completely blown away there. This gang was so large that over 20 staff members were working there just to count the dollars. Robert claimed to be Pushkin's man. But as soon as a gang member realized he was lying, he pointed a gun at Robert. Robert, demonstrating his dangerous skills, snatched the gun from him in just half a second and took him hostage. Robert then pointed the gun at his machine and told him to put it down quietly, otherwise his machine would be permanently disabled. After receiving such a dangerous threat, would you still bother? They all surrendered. Robert then gave all the staff bundles of dollars and called 911 to report the factory. Robert then obtained information from Frank about where all the network's data was stored. Frank then gives him the address of a locker. Robert goes there and finds several documents and a pen drive. The pen drive contained all the transactions and information about the mafia. Robert then mails all the data to the FBI. When the police arrive at the factory, they are stunned by what they see. They find an entire room filled with dollars, and Robert has tied up all the criminals there. We then see Teddy again with a big Don. The Don then encourages Teddy, saying that his accomplices are enough to catch this man. When he briefly goes to the bathroom, Robert comes and breaks the Don's eyeglasses, places them on the table, and says, "I've sent your Don upstairs, and he can never come back from here."
Do you understand the meaning?
What did Robert do to Don to show more courage? Robert tells Teddy, "Now tell your boss, Pushkin, to stop all his wrongdoings within tonight, and
This is my last offer to you.
Saying this, he writes a mobile number on his papers and says, "I've done a lot of bad things in my life. I've done this, and I regret it. Don't force me back into that trap again." Robert's attitude here was remarkable. Meanwhile, Robert gets a lead that these mafias have a major oil business. So he goes there and destroys their entire network. Seeing all this, Pushkin is completely shaken. He calls Teddy and says, "I want dead bodies." Teddy then summons 3 of Russia's toughest hitmen. Teddy, seeing a photo of Robert with Ralphie, realizes that these are probably the people close to Robert. Therefore, Teddy then takes everyone hostage in the shopping mall and calls Robert, warning him that if he doesn't return within 30 minutes, they will kill everyone. With no other option, Robert sets off for the shopping mall. Seeing his bus approaching, Teddy declares he'll shoot everyone he sees. But Robert isn't inside the bus. He sneaks into the shopping mall from another street, turns off all the lights and fans in the store, and turns on some loud music. Seeing this, the gunman takes Ralphie to leave, but Robert knocks the gangster out with a double punch. Ralphie is completely shocked by Robert's devastating blow. Meanwhile, Robert takes the slain gangster's walkie-talkie and calls a gunman. Before he can even comprehend the consequences, Robert stabs him. He then tells Ralphie to get everyone out of here immediately. He's taking care of them. With that, Robert begins turning off the main lights in the entire shopping mall and locking all the store doors.
Now the real game begins.
Robert constructs various traps from various items in the shop and disguises himself as an assassin, attempting to remain unnoticed. Using the same dangerous trap, Robert traps a gangster and hangs him. When another gangster approaches, he tries to scare him by putting a sharp blade to his neck. But as soon as Teddy sees him, he shoots Robert with his M4A1 gun, hitting him. It doesn't cause him any significant harm. Robert then kills another by drilling through his head with a drill. He now has a hard time controlling the most powerful hitman present, as he's twice his size. However, with his superb skills, Robert eventually manages to kill him as well. Robert is seriously injured by this, and Ralphie arrives and says, "You told me to get everyone out. That's why I couldn't leave you alone and get out of here." Saying this, Ralphie starts to pull the injured Robert out. But as he leaves, a gunman fires at him. Still, with great difficulty, Ralphie manages to escape. Robert then puts some gas cylinders in a microwave oven to signal for the last hitman to arrive. As soon as he arrives, Robert detonates the entire gas cylinder, killing him instantly, leaving only the real man, Teddy. Teddy then approaches Ralphie to shoot him. But just then, Robert incapacitates Teddy's arms and legs with a power tool gun from the shop, and then kills him with a close-range headshot. The movie then moves to Moscow, Russia, 3 days later. It's seen that the mafia boss, Pushkin, is just returning from a bath. But despite all the security, Robert is still there. Seeing Robert, Pushkin asks, "Have you come here to kill me? What will you gain by killing me?" Robert then says, "Killing you will bring me peace." Pushkin then says, "Actually, peace is worth a lot.
Still, name a price.
Let's see if I can pay it."
But before the conversation ends, Robert turns off the light and disappears.
Pushkin then sees that the water tap on his basin is open. When he goes to turn it off, he touches the electric wire Robert had set up, and Pushkin receives the last electric shock of his life. The next scene shows Robert descending the building, surrounded by the bodies of all his bodyguards. As you can imagine, he single-handedly killed all the security personnel and then went to Pushkin. I was quite surprised to see this scene. Robert's mission is finally over. So he returns to Boston and begins living a normal life. There, he meets Elena. Elena tells him she's living a perfectly good life. She reads books and works. Seeing this, Robert is overjoyed. Elena thanks him for changing her life. The final scene shows Robert reading a book called The Invisible Man. He's also looking for a new job to reinvent his identity, and the movie ends there.